Coming up on show 735, the Honda E has beaten all other EVs for a top design award. Stick around, I'll tell you more. Plus, we'll take a look at what the big car makers are doing in the COVID-19 response. Renault Zoe tops more EV sales charts in Europe. Sandy Munro is going to live stream tearing apart a Model Y down to every nut and bolt, and China extending its EV subsidies. Well, those stories and many more coming up on the podcast today. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are listening in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily, the edition for the first of the month, Wednesday, 1st of April. My name is Martyn Lee and I go through every EV story so you don't have to, and I guarantee this is an April Fool's free zone. Not that I'm any kind of party pooper, like a joke as much as the next person, but you know what, today I just don't feel in the mood for trying to con people and being like, haha, gotcha. Don't find it very funny today. But if you see any good ones, hopefully you do enjoy. It raises a smile. Some good news to start the new month. A brand new executive producer of the podcast. Patreon support continuing and increasing. Thank you so much. New executive producer Paul Ridings has signed up to support this show at $10 a month. And thank you so much for your Patreon support. Looking at Tesla's week this Friday. It's probably going to be on Friday, I reckon. Tesla have to release their Q1 production and delivery reports. So probably going to be Friday morning before the market opens if their recent trend continues. How many vehicles did they make? Estimates vary wildly, as you can imagine, because of the disruption to their production. Estimates, most of them I've read, around 90 to 92,000 vehicles. That's down around 18 to 20% on quarter 4 last year, but it's significantly up on the same time last year, quarter 1 2019, because they had a real stinker up about... Well, it was about 63,000, wasn't it, last January? How does it split out? Well, maybe about 7,000 Model S's they built in the first quarter, maybe about 6,500 X's, and then the big one, 78,000 Model 3s. But how many Model Ys? That'll be the big question that we'll be looking for answers for. Fremont factory in California, of course, that closed on March 23rd, end of play March 23rd, after a couple of days of winding down. How's that going to affect production? Giga Shanghai will be updated as well. It'll be interesting because in theory it can make 3,000 Model 3s a day. If they max out, they'll do well, but how close will they get to that? Model Y being the great unknown as well. And of course, that's production. Delivery will be something else. They had 11 working days of inventory in the company, which is the lowest in about 4 years. They also have to guide for the future. So what are they going to say about this year? Will they say when they think that production will start again, or will they just brush over it and make no mention of it? Will they still stick at 500,000 cars being built this year? They surely can't. What will it mean? Not just for Tesla, but other EV makers. We'll get some guidance on Friday as to the state of mind of Tesla. Be very, very interesting. And how are companies like Tesla, SEAT, Ford and GM helping the COVID-19 fight? Well, Elon Musk said yesterday on Twitter that Tesla will be shipping their FDA-approved ventilators to areas which they deliver their cars and using their current distribution network to enable that. He tweeted, and I quote, "Device and shipping cost are free. Only requirement is that the vents are needed immediately for patients, not stored in a warehouse. Please at me or let Tesla know," end quote. As for the Spanish company SEAT, part of VW, their factory in Martorell in Spain is making ventilators. They designed 13 different prototypes over the most recent weeks until a final model was decided upon. The ventilators actually use a model from SEAT windscreen wipers. 150 workers there are on the case making them. Ford is going to make 50,000 ventilators with a company called GE Healthcare, made in Michigan. The 50,000 are going to take 100 days to make, and then when they get to that 100 days, if they're still making ventilators, let's hope we are back to normal in 100 days' time, they would be at a rate of 30,000 of them a month. It's a form of ventilator, form of device called CPAP, which is not the most serious form of ventilator, but it can help actually and mean that the equipment, which is for the most seriously ill patients, is still available if these CPAP machines can be made by Ford. GM is making face masks for their part. They've been doing it since March 20th. Next week, the first 20,000 will be delivered to frontline workers. Less than 7 days to get to production from the first idea at GM to actually making them in their factories. At full speed, the new line at GM will make 50,000 face masks a day. That's 1.5 million a month, and that's your roundup. This isn't the coronavirus podcast. It's your roundup of what car makers are doing to join in with the rest of the world and fight this horrible, horrible disease, and they all deserve a round of applause. So, the Tesla Model Y Performance has officially arrived at the workshop of Munro and Associates in Auburn Hills, Michigan. The automotive industry veteran. His name is Sandy Munro, and he tears down cars to the very last nut, bolt, wire and washer, makes reports that cost, I think, hundreds of thousands, and sells them to other car makers so that they, without having to tear the car down themselves, know exactly what all of their competition are doing. He puts prices on every bit of the car as well, so his company can, well, I don't know how accurately, but at least predict what the car costs to build and what they're selling it for. Well, he and his team are beginning a full teardown of the new electric crossover, the Tesla Model Y. I think he's realised now on his YouTube appearances, after some early YouTube appearances where he really stuck the boot in to Tesla, in his own words, threw rocks at them. Maybe that was a little bit unnecessary, because by the time he actually got to Teslas and to take them apart, we realised there's some clever engineering going into EVs, and he definitely backpedaled and backtracked. And now he's reformed. Now he loves EVs and he loves Tesla, and he's bought himself a Model Y, and he's going to tear it apart, but he's going to live stream it. I think he's also worked out that anything that's Tesla related is clickbait. Nothing against, obviously, Tesla channels and things like that. Good on them. But anything on YouTube that is Tesla related always does really, really well. And so he is going firmly down the route of being a Tesla fanboy these days, and he's tearing apart a Tesla Model Y on a live stream. It's going to consist of a complete disassembly of the entire vehicle, and he's starting with the inside of the car, says Teslarati. The rest of the teardown process, they say, of the Model Y will consist of multiple live streams from their headquarters. Wednesday, 1st of April, Munro Live is his new channel. Munro Live will kick off their first live stream with an analysis of the Model Y and offer further breakdown of the Model Y with fit and finish and its thermal systems as well. I'll pop a link to Teslarati in the show notes if you want to click on that and link through and have a look at what Sandy Munro is doing. Well, Tesla is ramping up as well installation of their V3 superchargers, of course, which the Model Y is compatible with. Several sites in European countries, they were slow to get them, considering some of the sites in the US that are now version 3 supercharger enabled. But France, Germany, Norway, Denmark, Italy and the Netherlands are currently under construction for V3, and a number of supercharger units made at the Gigafactory in Buffalo, actually, Gigafactory 2 as we used to call it. They were made there, and they are on ships at the moment, currently heading towards Rotterdam. Whether they are allowed to install them, I know that electrical work and construction is, in this country, classed as being allowed to continue an essential service, but building superchargers, is that allowed during the lockdown? Don't know, we'll see. Let's move on. Karma Automotive introduced the Karma E-Flex platform. It's a chassis that they will offer new EV mobility solutions ranging from autonomous utility vans to daily driver vehicles to high-performance supercars, says Green Car Congress. Well, Karma is a company based in Southern California. They make luxury electric vehicles. They're a high-tech incubator as well. And they've got their new platform, a highly flexible platform, they say. It's what the current car, the Revero GT, is built on. It's a range-extended EV, little engine inside this one. They said, we created a physical product that can be formatted into 5 different products. What others have called a one-dimensional skateboard, we call the E-Flex platform. A multi-use solution with up to 22 different possible configurations available, covering different battery packaging variants and different drive motor systems. We can deliver a wide range of configurations dependent on the builder's priority. I'll pop a link to the website in the show notes. Let's go to Ireland, and Ireland's postal service, AN Post, or An Post, began operating 2 all-electric postal trucks. They're based on Daimler's Fuso e-Canter, and they've been used in Dublin. The e-Canter operates in 10 European cities, Germany, UK, France, Portugal, Netherlands, Denmark and Ireland now. Daimler Trucks said that these postal delivery vans are the first postal service in the world to attain a zero carbon emissions status within a capital city. According to Just Auto website, the e-Canter has a range of 60 miles, 100 Ks. It's a 7.5-ton vehicle, meeting inner city, short-range distribution requirements. Of course, this is what I would call the legacy generation of EV vans, or even you're going back a little bit, actually. This is quite outdated technology now, but still very much in use. But this is not the next-gen technology that is just around the corner. Many companies do want to go all electric with their vans and their trucks, but many of them, as they've found when they've looked into this, the range isn't there, and so many of the platforms have been built on ICE platforms or just not built with ambitious enough targets. The next range of trucks, all electric trucks and vans and utility vehicles coming out of not only the big OEMs but also smaller makers as well. It's the next generation that delivered this year and next year onwards that are going to enable much more range, built on custom platforms. And I think that's when you'll see so many commercial vehicles moving to electric power. In China, the government has announced it will be extending state subsidies and tax breaks for new energy vehicles. And by new energy vehicles, we mean pure electric cars, plug-in electric cars, and fuel cell electric cars. There must be a couple of those around somewhere. They're going to extend the state subsidies by 2 years. The subsidies in China will be now available until the end of 2022. Originally, they were going to end at the end of this year. According to the industry website Electrive, the exact amount of the subsidy rates hasn't been made clear yet. The current rates have been in effect since last summer, July 2019. There's 25,000 yuan, about 3,500 euros, paid to buyers of EVs with a range of at least 400 kilometres. And that's great news in China because those subsidies do play a really important part in supporting the small fledgling industry, even though it's the biggest EV industry in the world. Really important part to play in helping people get an EV on their driveway. And if you would like to hear how the Chinese market works, how the Chinese market is different to Western markets in terms of how people buy their cars, finance, their preference, their priorities in terms of features versus performance, there's a show that I did a couple of weeks ago. It certainly wasn't a couple of weeks ago because time flies. But in London, during the Move 2020 conference, I caught up with one of the patrons of this podcast. That's Rupert Mitchell from WM Motor, and we sat down. Seems like a long time ago. It was February 15th of February. Wow, so that was 6 weeks ago. Oh man! And yes, we did talk coronavirus because China at the time was in the midst of it, and we didn't appreciate how serious it was going to get for the rest of the world. But we talked to Rupert from WM Motor, one of the big Chinese makers, about what they'd just been through and the stresses and strains of the Chinese market over the last few months and the way forward for WM, but also generally with China. And if you're interested, I would invite you to go to either my podcast channel, the YouTube channel where we post the audio, or even my WordPress blog that's, simple as, but it's all I can do because I'm self-taught. And it's evnewsdaily.com. Just in the search box, pop in Rupert or WM Motor, and you'll find it. Really, really interesting Saturday special interview all about China. I learned a lot that day. Moving on, Honda, lead story today. Honda and their all-new Honda E. What used to be called the Urban EV is now called Honda E. Not the best name. I like the Urban EV name. Honda E has been awarded the Red Dot Best of the Best in 2020 award, the highest honour for the internationally renowned Red Dot Awards. Very famous awards, these Red Dot Awards. The groundbreaking product design of the Honda E has been recognised. It's also received recognition in the smart product category, along with one of the Honda bikes, which they make. The accolade for outstanding design is the latest award win, with Honda's car picking up all sorts of design awards. The modern styling of the Honda E has attracted international acclaim since we first saw it at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 2017, when it was, like I say, the Honda Urban EV. The concept car was later recognised as the best concept car in some renowned design awards called the Car Design Award Honours. Now the car is finished and into production. One of the best videos that I've seen, there's loads of videos online about it. One of the best ones I've seen is Johnny Smith's. Johnny's it's a long one. It's like 25, 30 minutes long. It's a long time ago I watched it now. But you can see he holds the car in such high regard. And although he's not just reading off a press release, so he's not just like some fanboy, he genuinely tells you why he thinks it's a great car, and he goes through why the charging isn't very quick and why the boot is too small and all of the things, recognises all the negatives, but just look at the design of the car, the inside, the outside, and it's one of those things that it's almost Marmite, isn't it? You love it or hate it. There's very few people that are kind of meh about it, and you'll forgive all the things wrong with it if you want one. And if you don't want one, you'll probably just never get it in the first place. Sometimes you just won't understand it. So I would recommend going to watch that video if you haven't watched it yet. Last time I did, it was well over. It was in the millions of views. It's so beautifully made, that the way it's shot as well. Really funny video. Go and check it out. Right, a couple more stories today. The European passenger market in February, I know we're in April as of today, but the figures are kind of in a lag. Looking at the Clean Technica figures, the European passenger plug-in market was 70,000 registrations in February, over 100% increase year on year, and the plug-in market has grown to 144,000 cars sold in Europe so far this year. That's a great performance, and although coronavirus will slow things down, I do firmly believe, I truly believe, we are simply pressing the pause button. As Nick on a Sunday night, we tried if you haven't seen it yet on YouTube, we did a brand new show, a live interactive audience EV show that you can watch live on Sunday nights, and you can watch it back if you just want to watch it, but you can take part in it on Sundays at 7 p.m. UK time, so 2 p.m. Eastern, and we were talking about the coronavirus, and Nick, one of my co-presenters, was saying to Craig and I, actually, he sells cars for a living, so he knows this more than anyone. He firmly believes we are simply pressing a pause button. Recessions are different. Recessions are all about people making long-term different buying decisions. This isn't that. We're going to get this under control, and then whatever the new normal is, we'll go back to it, and we'll take our finger off the pause button. I truly believe that. I do think we are simply pressing pause. And so, yeah, March and April's figures are going to be down, but then we'll be back up again, because people who want EVs still want EVs. People who want to buy one still want to buy one. According to Clean Technica, the big news in February continues to be the strong results of the Renault Zoe. 6,500 registrations of that, doubles last year's result in the same month. VW e-Golf still selling a lot as well, 3,700 units in February. And final story, talking VW, Volkswagen has announced that its plug-in hybrid lineup will be expanding significantly in Europe, and that's good news. According to Autoblog, the VW Tiguan, it's a compact crossover segment vehicle, and the VW Arteon, which is a mid-size sedan, are both going to be having plug sockets attached to them this year. And of course, the reason they jumped out to Autoblog is because they both have US counterparts. So will they be going to America? Autoblog reached out to Volkswagen to ask about the two models, and a representative said the company doesn't have plans to bring those two plug-in hybrids to the USA. Two popular cars, and two cars that are ripe for adding a battery and a plug socket in this kind of intermediate 5-year period, when I think those that aren't ready for a full battery electric vehicle, and you know, I can make a long argument about why it would suit them, but if they want to plug in hybrid, they want to plug in hybrid. It will mean they do a lot of miles on pure electric power. It'll ease them in to an EV, and the Tiguan and the Arteon, two very popular cars, two nice cars as well, so great news. I would love to see loads of those on the roads around here. Okay, question of the week with the VW ID.3, the first all-electric, custom-made on a brand new platform, Volkswagen, facing big software rewrites. They've made the car, they're parking it up in a big storage lot, and they're going to sort the software out later before deliveries. How hard should we be on these legacy automakers that for years gave Tesla and the other small makers a hard time, and for years they said, well, you know, you wait till we start making EVs, we'll show everyone how it's done. So far it's not happening. There are examples where I think they're making some great cars. Mercedes-Benz EQC, lovely. Audi e-tron, lovely. Porsche Taycan is lovely. But in terms of big scale, right, how hard should we be on those legacy car makers when they hit EV speed bumps, or should we be a bit more forgiving? Please let me know your thoughts and I'll read it out on Sunday. You can email me hello@evnewsdaily.com or leave a comment on the YouTube show. Well, thank you, as I always say, to 240 patrons of this podcast, because it's how this show gets made, through the sheer generosity of those people who hopefully listen to this program. Did you hear a box fall off a shelf a moment ago? For no reason, a box just jumped off a shelf. It might not have come out on the podcast as the music's playing in the background. That isn't scary at all. Just watching it, the box just fell off. How bizarre. Anyway, moving on. Patreon's all about how you can support individual creators and those companies that are making a creative endeavour that you want to support, it's patreon.com/EV News Daily, funnily enough. Thank you to my premium partners, as always, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Brightsmith Group for clean tech talent, and Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, and Audi of Cincinnati East. If you can leave a little review on Apple Podcasts, helps me grow the show as well if you get some time during your stay home and stay safe time. Have a wonderful day. Catch you tomorrow, and remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.